Okay, malware. A lot of emphasis on malware. Malware is malicious software that damages or disables computer systems and gives limited or full control of the systems to the malware creator for the purpose of theft or fraud. Lots of different flavors of malware, all based on different characteristics, behaviors, and so forth. All right, malware programmers develop and use malware to typically infiltrate systems or cause some sort of impact to, again, confidentiality, integrity, or availability. Okay, malware can enter a system in different ways. Think of any way you can copy a file onto your target system. Instant messenger applications, portable hardware removable media, downloading files from the internet, email attachments, etc., etc. Any way you can get your code copied from one system to another and then trick the unsuspecting victim into executing it. All right, threat actors will employ some kind of standard techniques to distribute malware on the web. Black hat search engine optimization, social engineered clickjacking, spear phishing sites. A lot of this stuff is internet driven. So just by visiting a malicious page, you click on a link, malware downloads and installs, you're infected. Compromise legitimate websites, spam emails, phishing campaigns, etc., etc. All right, the components of malware. Okay, the malware itself is generally the malicious code that performs a malicious function, but there's some kind of companion files that go along with it that assist the malware in not getting detected or downloading and installing in the system. So cryptors, downloaders, okay, droppers, obfuscators, packers. They're not the malware itself, but they're companion or assistant files meant to download the file to the system or to encode it in a way that evades signature-based detection or reverse analysis, something along those lines. Obfuscators and packers are also, again, meant to evade signature-based detection. Packers compress code, obfuscators alternatively encode. The payload is generally the malicious code that executes. Then you also have the exploit or delivery code that goes along with that. So a couple different flavors or components of malware. And we're also going to look at some different categories of malware here in just a second. All right, first of which, Trojan. Trojans are unknown inside of known, unauthorized inside of authorized, unwanted inside of wanted, etc., etc. It's a program in which the malicious or harmful code is contained inside a harmless program. You get a tic-tac-toe game or elf bowling or something like that, little exe game. What you don't know is that there's malware hiding inside. And when you execute that file, the malware installs in the system. Trojans will typically create a covert communication channel between the victim computer and the attacker for transferring sensitive data. So getting to and from that compromised system requires some degree of stealth, and sometimes it's just plain clear text communication, which is easy to discover. But a covert communication channel is an allowable communications channel used in an unauthorized or unallowable way. Trojans come in different shapes and sizes: remote access, backdoor, botnet, rootkit, e-banking, service protocol, IoT, destructive, DDoS. They all share the common trait of unknown inside of known, unauthorized inside of authorized. But they're pretty intuitively named. Remote access Trojans give you remote access. IoT Trojans infect IoT devices. Mobile Trojans infect mobile devices, etc., etc. All right, Trojans, there's construction kits, which the first time I saw a Trojan horse construction kit, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. There's an actual GUI-based construction kit for creating these things. Oh yeah, absolutely. So Sub7, Thief, NetBus, Beast, etc., etc., all came with generation utilities or construction kits and then control utilities. So there's lots of different types of malware construction kits. We got virus, we got worm, we got Trojan, we got spyware, we got exploit kits. So either you can write one from scratch if you're a programmer, or you can download a kit, generate your own if you're not. Okay, virus. Viruses will infect executable files, deliver payload, may transform and encrypt themselves. But it's self-replicating. It can't propagate without infecting other files. So it does rely on infections for propagation, delivering payloads, and it requires that the host code that it occupies actually runs. So the virus comes in different flavors or shapes and sizes as well. System or boot sector, file multi-part type. Now, a lot of this is based on what they infect and how they infect. So again, on your second pass through the courseware, if you want to read all the definitions of polymorphic and web scripting and email and armored, definitely have at it. Pretty interesting stuff, but it's a pretty common theme of infection, replication, deliver a payload. All right, no matter what they do, the polymorphics and metamorphics create varied but operational copies of themselves. So the virus wants to live, to propagate, to evade detection, and perform whatever function it was written to perform. So looky there. We've got virus construction kits for viruses as well. There's the JPS virus maker. There's plenty more where that came from. And then ransomware. All right, ransomware, not a bad money-making scam, right? So encrypt your victim's stuff and hold it for ransom and force them to pay the ransom, or they don't get their stuff back. And then maybe you don't give them their stuff back anyway. So the Colonial Pipeline hack here a few months back is a great example of a recent ransomware attack. Ransoms may or may not be illegal to actually pay, because it's kind of like negotiating with terrorists. They're just going to be back for more. So ransomware argument, there's differing philosophies on whether or not that ransom should be paid. And you should take proper precautions to protect yourself against ransomware, especially around things like backups. Computer worms propagate on their own. Okay, unlike a virus, they do not have to infect executable files. They propagate on their own, and they may actually deliver a alternative payload, viral payload, backdoor, something like that. Rootkits are especially nasty because they hide themselves from detection. A lot of times rootkits are patched OS kernels, which means they can falsify file system directory listings and registry key enumerations and running processes, etc., and basically hide themselves on the system. The term is a kit to provide root access, but one of the most salient characteristics or features of rootkit is its ability to hide and maintain a high level of stealth in the system. Or a potentially unwanted application or program. So this is kind of a grayware category. They're potentially harmful applications. They may pose severe risks, but they also may be something you're actually aware of and want to install, like torrent managers and that sort of thing. They're installed when downloading and installing freeware, using a third-party installer, or when accepting a misleading license agreement. Now, we've all been there where you don't forget to uncheck a couple boxes, and pretty soon you got browser extensions and your default website has changed to the vendor's website, and kind of a pain to clean up after that. All right, adware. Adware displays annoying pop-up ads, all right? Not too terribly dangerous, but definitely annoying. It may actually pop up links to malicious sites, which could lead to drive-by downloads or malware propagation. Spyware spies on your activities. All right, so spyware spies on you in some way, shape, or form. Lots of different flavors of spyware: desktop, desktop spyware, chat spyware, keystroke loggers, programs executed, and so forth. A lot of this stuff gets marketed in the open as monitoring your employees or monitoring your kids, which you're definitely allowed to do that sort of thing. But again, a lot of this may be used for purposes other than allowable purposes, unethical purposes, etc. But lots of spyware out there. The keylogger logs keystrokes, comes in a couple different flavors. You have physical and software. You also have device driver versions, rootkit types of keyloggers, or application types of keyloggers. But they quite simply log keystrokes. A lot of times they'll log window titles, internet sites visited, that sort of thing. A lot of times, again, they're a little bit more multifaceted spyware, and a lot of your spyware contains keylogger functionality. Botnets. The bot is basically a Trojan, characteristically, but the bots are used to create botnets, which are then used to collectively attack targets, crack passwords, CAPTCHA solving farms, and so forth. The botnet does the bidding of its master, and they're an army of bots, plain and simple. The victims that are compromised are not the primary target. We'll call them a secondary victim. Those become agents. The systems infected are called zombies, and they are used to collectively attack targets for things like denial of service attacks. Fileless malware. Okay, the easiest way for your malware to get detected is to leave a footprint in the file system and get discovered in a scan. So in fileless malware, we don't write any files to the disk. They reside in system RAM. They use native Windows applications like PowerShell to execute malicious functions. And the idea there is they have a higher likelihood of remaining undetected. Fileless propagation techniques include phishing emails, infection through lateral movement, registry manipulation, legitimate applications, memory code injection, script-based injection, native applications, etc., etc.